It is Sunday, September 27th, the last Sunday of September, and we have saved our best show of the month for last. Welcome to the Ken and Glenn Show with a guy named Scott. Do you believe you get what you deserve? We're going to be talking about that tonight. And here's a couple of guys who deserve everything they have and more. It's Ken and Glenn. Yeah, and me, a guy named Scott. Hey, guys.
What's going on,
Ken? Scott, I have to tell you, your transitions are getting increasingly smooth every week. When you somehow weave, and I know you're not doing it with a script, but you hear what the subject is, and you just weave it in so effortlessly.
You're so kind.
Thank you for that.
It was good.
Good grief. And holy cow, what a nail biter with your Cowboys, Glenn.
Yeah, I'm already over it. I recover very quickly.
Oh,
it'd be nice if they did. Like when the football's fumbled, maybe recover it. Just a thought,
I love it.
That was funny, actually. That was pretty good. That was pretty good.
Yeah, they lost a nail biter. 38-31. Seattle won the game 38-31. Dak Prescott threw an interception on third down with about 15 seconds left in the game.
Russell Wilson is the MVP this year. He is amazing.
Back-to-back 5 touchdown pass games. This week was 5. Last week was 5.
And has never won the MVP.
Never won it? Wow.
No, he's amazing. I am sharing this.
Glenn already did. I saw that that was impressive, Glenn.
Hey, man, I work fast.
I mean, I was like, wow.
Isn't it interesting, though, with regard to sports, that if they catch the ball in the end zone, it was picked off. And I don't live in a should have been, could have been, might have been, would have been world. I don't. Or if that. But I just think it's so fickle. It is blatantly fickle about sports that if the Cowboy player had caught it, and we're talking about it ending the game, it's a game-ending touchdown. If the Cowboy player catches it, there is no interview for Russell Wilson.
Right.
It's just weird how if he doesn't catch it and they intercept the ball, they line up all the interviews and they're ready to go. And if it goes the other way, those interviews are all nixed. And so it comes down to one play, despite the fact that he scored 5 touchdowns, 5 touchdown passes. If they don't pick off that ball and Dallas scores, the 5 touchdown passes get overlooked when in post-game interviews. They mention it, they mention it as a stat, but there's no interview. Nobody is walking up to Russell Wilson with a microphone. It's bizarre, but hey, that's sports,
There's a guy in Indiana that's well known in my home state named Bobby Plump. Now that name probably won't mean much to anybody outside of Indiana, but in 1954, Milan, a tiny little spot in the road, won the state basketball championship.
Okay.
That is the basis for the movie Hoosiers.
Okay.
Bobby Plump hit the last second shot for this school of like 80 kids to beat the big school of 5,000 kids. And back in those days, there was no class basketball. Everybody played. So the tiny schools played the big schools. There was no AAA, AA. So he hit that shot. The movie Hoosiers is based on that team. And the shot that wins the game in Hoosiers is that. And I've always thought, and the guy has never bought a meal in Indiana. Anybody. He's never paid for anything practically in Indiana.
Wow.
Because everybody wants to say they bought Bobby Plump a drink or bought him dinner or whatever. Since 1954, right? And I've always wondered, what if that shot would have kind of hit the back of the rim and bounced a couple
Right,
times and
right.
fell out.
Then he's paying for his own meals in the future.
And there's no movie Hoosiers, and Dennis Hopper doesn't make his big comeback, and Gene Hackman doesn't get nominated for best. All of the things that happen.
Everything is hinged to that one shot.
That shot going in, yeah,
Absolutely.
Just think of how life would be different for so many if
You wouldn't expect a guy named Bobby Plump to hit a game-ending shot. You'd expect him to be warming the bench and eating cotton candy.
and he's about as big around as your finger at that time, and boy, it is such a great real story though. So, hey Charles, I saw that in the paper.
What?
Holy cow!
What's that about?
A woman walked into the home where the Montanas are staying. I don't know, Charles, is it their home or were they renting it for a particular period of time? Because it's in Malibu, I think is where this happened. And walked in the unlocked front door and tried to and grabbed the granddaughter like she's going to kidnap the granddaughter.
What?
And Joe Montana and his wife Jennifer corner her and get the baby out of her hands. And so the kidnapper takes off running down the street. Well, it was their home. Okay. So the kidnapper, the woman who's the kidnapper, is running down the street. They run out, and it just so happened that there were sheriff's deputies at a couple houses away completely unrelated. They flagged them down. So the deputy takes off and catches the kidnapper. But
Wow.
they corner her and they basically said, you're going to have to kill us to get out of here. We're getting our granddaughter back. That's the play of the day.
I mean,
exactly
geez.
right.
Wow.
Can you imagine? And the
I
president.
wonder if when he grabbed the child, if he threw it 10 yards to his wife.
if the baby was a perfect spiral.
Right.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
That's crazy.
The catch.
Yes, it's Dwight Clark all over again.
Oh, sorry to bring up another bad Cowboys memory.
And then the new saying, that a baby?
God forbid she spiked it.
Oh my Lord.
It's another weekend show, the Ken and Glenn Show with a guy named Scott, where we dole out your weekly dosage of irreverence. We never miss an opportunity.
Pineapples for everybody.
Hey, lay on us what the
Rolling
topic is tonight, Kenster.
I wanted to talk about you don't get what you want, you get what you deserve. You get what you in life. I think that you get what you. There's a Kid Rock song where he says, I just lost it.
There's a Kid Rock song where he says,
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to think of the words now. I just said it.
well, the good news is you can't be replaced. We really need you on this show.
I know. No, I can be. Why?
So you're entitled to a brain fart from time to time. Hey, it's the Glenn and Scott Show.
You get what you put in, and people get what they deserve.
Okay.
But then he goes on to say, yet I still ain't found mine. and so, but I think Kid Rock actually ended up doing pretty okay.
Robert Ritchie. Robert Ritchie.
Is that his real name?
And he grew up fairly wealthy, by the way.
Did he really?
Interesting. You would not think of him as being a rich kid, so to speak. But,
Yeah. Really?
Robert Ritchie.
yeah.
I did not know that.
All right.
Effort
Well, let's air this out.
opportunity.
That's what Corey said. Effort equals opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah, but like think about that. Think about like you were just talking about the Cowboys game and how it ended and one little thing could have changed that, or the basketball shot. Is that how much do you guys believe that that's just, man, that, you know, the God was just smiling on him that day. Like,
I
that
don't
was
think
just-
God is invested in it at all.
I don't think so either. But I you hear people say that. Well, God was smiling on him. and-
It's ridiculous. It's
But why-
spiritual arrogance, Ken. When
I-
people say, I woke up this morning and knew, oh, so let me make sure I'm clear on this. God is a Redskin hater, really? God hates the Steelers but loves the Jets. Were you
Right.
an idiot? I mean, the idea that God has a team he's going to play favorites with
right.
is one of the most elementary understandings of God I've ever heard, not to mention arrogant.
I agree totally.
And let's go ahead and add the word ignorant too.
So-
It's ignorant to assume that God uniquely pulls for your team.
But
Hey,
why?
He said,
Why
if that was
did-
the truth, Notre Dame would be the champion every year, right? I mean,
Right.
Or
Right.
Robert University, Liberty University. You know, I mean, you know, come on. I totally agree with you guys. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just it's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
So what is that then? What is that one thing? You know, you just said, and I'm sitting here thinking, yeah, if that would have happened, you're right. The whole interview would have been shifted to someone else. But like, what is that thing? Because sometimes it does come down to a moment of like, man, was that luck? Look, Corey said, touchdown, Jesus is real.
Well, it's not like the NFL or any league is in short supply of people who will go ahead and say, I knew it, right? I knew it. And God
Yeah.
told me. And what's interesting, it's those same people. It's not similar. It's the same people who knew it that when they lose, it's amazing how able they are to keep their mouths shut.
Yeah.
They don't have
Well-
anything to talk about because suddenly their knew it becomes a big oops. There are a
Yeah.
whole lot of teams that knew they were going to win when they took the field and they didn't. In fact, statistics would tell you half the teams. Half the teams.
Literally 50%.
How many teams step onto the field fully expecting to be destroyed?
Right.
You know, I mean, even ones that the odds are against it, and the odds makers of Las Vegas, you still do not take the field expecting to get your ass kicked. And if you do, you need to get out of the league.
I disagree. I Michigan feels that way every time they play Ohio State. I can promise you.
Like I said, Ken, with one exception being Michigan and Ohio State. I'm sorry. I thought that was understood in what I was saying, but feel free to
Everybody
shoot down my theory.
God is a Buckeyes fan, kid. You can keep believing that, okay?
I think Michigan believes that. I'm just kidding. So, but what is that thing though? That's what I'm talking about. There's that moment where it's like, wow, Seattle actually won that, and Dallas should have won that. Like they had it, or you know what I mean? Like it's just is it because Seattle worked a little harder at practice? Is it Dallas didn't care enough about winning? What do you think it is? I'm curious.
No, in fact, I think Seattle outplayed them today is what happened. And Dallas had an opportunity to steal the game, and it didn't work. Right? Dallas could have stolen that game, and no reviewer, even the fans of Dallas, wouldn't have walked around saying, man, oh man, did they ever deserve to win that game? And they did. Right? It's possible in life, we know this. It's possible to be outplayed on the scoreboard. I mean, on the in the stats column, and still win on the scoreboard. And the only one they remember at the end of the day is the scoreboard total. You don't get trophies for stats as far as at the end of the year. They're basing it on the W's and the L's. End of story. You know.
Yeah.
What are some of these comments saying?
I love what Donovan just said. It's not luck, and it may indeed be spiritual. It's practice, anticipation, preparation. And although God doesn't play favorites, many of the athletes have found their strength and perseverance in God.
That I want to be clear, Donovan. That is 100% agreement, and none of the three of us, because I know where my brethren stand here. This is not an opposed to God statement. This has nothing to do with that. I'm all about being strengthened by an awareness of God and a connection and a flow, an interaction with God, most assuredly. But to think that you uniquely have a stronghold on that and that the other team does not.
Right.
It's not as though both teams kneel for prayer pre-game, but God hears the prayers of one team only.
Right.
That to me is an insane, arrogant, and egotistical belief. So
I
when you draw your strength from those prayers, then beautiful, and then you take it out on the field and let the chips fall where they may. But I don't think you have God with cowboy banners, you know, in the cosmos. I don't see that.
No, his Steeler banners are getting in the way.
And I find it also offensive if anyone prays to win the game. I have a real problem with that. I would pray to do the best that I can. I would pray to bring everything that I know from practice to the actual game. I would pray that players or race car drivers or whoever it might be not be injured.
Mm-hmm.
But dear Lord, please help us win this game.
Well, let's push it. Let's go ahead and push it a step further, can we, Scott?
Yeah.
And add, because I'm with you 1,000%. And they will add to it after praying for the winning of the game as the outcome, comma, however, thy will be done. So basically, listen, it's all about thy will be done. But while you're listening, hey, how about taking a look at some of my rewrites?
Yeah.
And it's insane. If you're going to pray thy will be done, you might want to stay away from the rewrite table.
So I think, though, here's my take on it. I think it's fine. God doesn't care, right? We just discussed that. God is indifferent. He doesn't care if the Steelers or the Browns win. He does not care. I think that people, a really great friend of mine who's very, very successful in life in general, and one of the byproducts is financially. He's a physician, and he said, you know what, man, we were talking just about all the blessings in his life, and he said, I am blessed and I am favored. And I said, here's why you're favored. The reason you're favored is because you believe you're favored. You know that you're favored. You accept that because we're all favored. We're all blessed. And I think that the praying part, if a team prays and says, hey, God, we could sure use your help out here on this one. It's not going to sway God. We're not trying to it's increasing our own faith, believing. A friend of my sponsor in Alcoholics Anonymous used to say, I believe that the desire to please God pleases God. Just the desire to please God pleases God. So if we're just like going, hey, I'm praying not to manipulate God, I'm praying just to increase my own faith in my abilities that God has given me. If that's the reason, that's a good reason, I think.
I was in church the other day and heard, I shared this with you, I know, Ken, but yeah. I heard the song. I don't know the name of the song, but I remember the lyrics, and it was, Dear Lord, help us through. Help us through. And it was said many times in the song. And I wonder if it's ever occurred to them that as God listens to their singing, that God might be going, as though I had other plans. Right. Help us through. What did you think I wasn't going to? Did you think I had other plans? And this is the part that I would like to encourage believers to grow in, is to look at the lack of sensibility of some of these verses that people sing by rote or lyrics or whatever. Help us through. Like God needs that coaching, because, I had really intended to not help you through. I had really intended to just crush you. And I mean, it's insane. So I don't ask for things like, I don't say things like, help me through, but rather what I say is, thank you for helping me through. It's not a command. It's not a request. It's gratitude. And I think that you're always going to be correct anytime in life you say thank you. I think thank you in general is a power phrase, right? Just thank you. Thank you for wisdom. Thank you for strength. Thank you for helping me through versus help me through or give me strength. And I can hear God tapping the cosmic microphone going, I gave it to you when you were born.
Yeah.
You know, I gave you strength a long time ago. Your issue isn't that you don't have strength. Your issue is that you continue to ask me for what you already have. So it's time you go take a long look in the mirror and realize who it is you are and what it is you are and what you are designed with and who you are designed by. Because once you get all of those things squared away, you don't walk around feeling weak.
Right.
It's not your nature. Just like people who drive cars, if they drive a Cadillac, they're somehow proud of the fact that it was made by Cadillac, meaning it's expected to be an elevated brand.
Right.
And you pay for that. It's made by Cadillac. So this is going out just to the believers. I'm not speaking to the atheists right now, but for those people who believe, whatever your faith may be, whatever it is, and God knows I'm about as wide open a man spiritually as you will ever meet. But I think it's a good idea to remember who designed you and never doubt it. Never doubt it. Never second guess it. If you know and you believe in the very force that designed you, then you don't need to always check in with it with regard to asking for things like wisdom or strength, because that presupposes that you've not been given it. Right. It also presupposes that we have some sort of idiot in the sky who it didn't occur to give you strength. So we keep thinking that God needs our rewrites. We keep thinking God needs our last minute replacement of the play he or she or it or they were going to call, right? Whatever the play was that God was going to call, we want to send in our rewrite of that play, which means we really don't have faith. We have faith in our plan and we don't have faith in the plan. And then we turn around and say, thy will be done. And if I'm God, I got to tell you, if I'm God, I'm listening going, could you kids make up your mind and get back to me? Because you're really behaving foolishly. You tell me on one hand what it is you want exactly, and then you say, but thy will be done. So apparently you don't really mean it, and you're not really and truly okay with my plan. You're really only okay with your plan, which uniquely seems to consistently favor you. Meanwhile, you're playing another team. That other team deserves to win as well. Or do you think you're the only team who should experience what victory is like? And do you think that I would uniquely favor you over all other people? So these are beliefs that I think people need to go back to spiritual school and take a second or maybe even third look at to see if even what they believe makes any sense whatsoever. Wow, I got a little vocal about that. Oh, well.
So don't hold back. How do you really feel?
I know I did. And I did so unapologetically because I think that religious elitism is one of the biggest turnoffs on the planet. When I see people parading around their own specialness while everybody else isn't, and they declare themselves to be the special ones and judgment of all of the other religions, I think everyone should be exposed to multiple religions in the course of their life so that they can open their minds and their hearts and not decide that they somehow have a unique reserved seat in I don't know. Don't, you know what? Don't even get me started. You already got me started, and I'm going to just stop. I'm going to stop because I think it's insane. Thank God I was raised with multiple exposure from two vastly different sides of the equation, and I thought that the fight between them was ridiculous. And I was a kid and figured that out. I looked and went, this is insane.
Yeah.
This is insane. Both sides are trying to brainwash the other, and they're trying to make sure that the kid knows which way is right. And it's really extreme. And I think if you really want your answers, I'll shut up with this, guys. If you really want your answers, just humble yourself, get real quiet, and talk to thin air. And let your soul listen very carefully. And let it proceed with the wisdom it has held in its grasp since birth. You will proceed and you will make healthy decisions. You will make good choices. You were designed to make good choices. You won't question your own strength. You won't pray uniquely for your own personal victories, but you'll start understanding we're a family, we are together, and our nation looks less like a unit that is together than it has in my entire 61 years. But it's still not the truth. That's an illusion. The truth is we are one, and as soon as we get back to behaving like that as a people, we will see that things go much more smoothly when we unify.
Yeah.
But when we're at war and we've got all of this division going on between parties, between chronic opinionitis, we just need to hold each other's hands and maybe just look at each other and remember the beauty of the human race when we're not so divided.
Amen.
Let's get back to your original point. What do you say, Ken,
Okay.
about getting what you deserve?
Scott,
And
do you
I'm going
have
to slide
anything
my
to add?
soapbox. I'm going to get rid of this soapbox I have here underneath the desk.
Well, I think part of the challenge is that and there have been some so-called teachers that this is kind of aligned with their message, is that it either intentionally or unintentionally, but nonetheless the result is the same, has kind of encouraged us to think of God as an ATM machine. You know, we go up and we stick in our prayer card and we expect the drawer to punch out what we've asked for. And when we don't get what we ask for, we think there's something wrong with the machine, as opposed to something wrong with our prayer card or something wrong with what we're asking and how we're asking.
Oh, that's really good, Scott.
Yeah.
Thank you. And I don't know. I just think that we have to get away from, my darling bride is just bringing me, I can't forget. Can I get
Oh,
Oh,
nice.
I
Tammy
think
for the win.
Tammy for the win, he says. I think we've got to get away from that. I Glenn, to your point, I think you're just spot on that you know, I don't need to pray for strength. I need to pray for that I use the strength that I've been given.
Yes, exactly.
Right? And that sounds so subtle, but yet the difference is so dramatic. And you know, one of the real lessons for me in my life was that stop asking God for things and start appreciating and asking that I take what I've been blessed with and what I've been given and use it to the extent that I have been gifted.
Absolutely. Do you know that I've never prayed for a role?
Really? Yeah.
I've been an actor 50 years. I've been paid to do it for 45 years. Not one time, including the biggest, highest paying television series jobs I've ever had, when I was facing being down to the wire and booking them, I never once in my life said, give me this. Dear God, give me this role. I never did that. I always simply said, thanks. Going into the room, thanks for the strength that I'm feeling right now. Thank you for that. Thank you so very much. I feel very strong and I feel ready. Thank you for the sense of readiness that I am experiencing. But never, would you give me this role, please? Dear God, give me this role. Because first of all, it's not going to go that way anyway, because if you're a goofball in the room, they're not going to give you the role. So you're going to have to earn it. And as long as you are doing your part, then, you know, there are things that have nothing to do with what you did that are out of your control anyway. And people make deals based on things, believe it or not, that are outside of your control. So you can't make somebody hire you. All you can do is give them every opportunity to be magnetically drawn to you and moved by you. And at the end of that, you're done with it. You got to give me the sign, Scott. Give me the, right? Yeah. I mean, you got to do that. And you got to walk away knowing I have done what is within my realm of capability. And now the chips will fall where they may. And you know what? When I don't get it, what I know is that's very good news for someone else. Yeah. And I can actually join them in knowing some actor, I've been hired a lot. I've had my share. I'll gladly receive more, but it's not like I would be robbed. I'll never know lack from the industry because I've already lived in a land of surplus. Therefore, if someone else is having a break, I'm grateful that they had that opportunity because I know what it feels like. I know what it feels like to be them. They just booked a series. I didn't get this one. That's cool. They are celebrating somewhere tonight, just as I have many times in my past. And I personally think that sharing is cool. I don't think it's about dominating and crushing everyone in the world. There are a lot of people who get off to that. They use expressions like dominating the competition and crushing your opposing forces. I don't use those terms, dominating or crushing. I know that I do what I do, and what's coming my way is coming my way.
I bought the URL nobrosales.com.
What does that mean?
I think there's a thing out there called bro sales, which is pressure tactics. Hey, bro, crushing the competition. We're gonna die. All the things that you just said is so prevalent in the sales world, but the problem is it doesn't get you sales anymore. I mean, to dominate in that field, you really want to dominate your customer. You want to pressure them into something.
Exactly. And there's a lot of people who would say yes to that.
I know. And then about 2 or 3 years from now, they're looking for other work because it hasn't been, no one wants to come back. I mean, the key to success in business and in much of life is the 2 R's, repeat and referral. Do your customers come back for more, and do they tell other people about it? And I think that's a fundamental problem in today's world. Is we are supposed to be, there's been a lot out there that says that crush it, dominate, kill them, and I just think that's so far off base in terms of what really is not only just wins, but is needed in today's world. We're looking for help.
You said about praying and asking that God help you use the tools, the gifts that you've been given, and I think that there's a couple of things. Me personally, I've always been like, I want what I want, and I want it now. and I'm gonna.
But that's not the current version of you.
No, well, there's times, but
Dear Lord, give me patience and give it to me right now.
That's great, Scott. Dear Lord, give me patience right now.
Ever ask for patience, because you will be granted many opportunities to practice it.
Exercise it.
But I think that, for me, being at the ripe old age of 52, there's been, it suddenly has occurred to me within the last few years that there is a gestation period for everything. Mm-hmm. And we have to learn how to be patient and continue to use our gifts, and not just use our gifts, but build our gifts, continue to grow our gifts. Glenn, you didn't stop working on, like, the resident doesn't send you your lines the day before and say, hey, you need to learn all these lines and show up tomorrow. I mean, I don't think they do, at least. Or an hour before and say, okay, here's the whole episode. You've got to know all these. You got an hour. You have to hone your skill. You have to constantly be working on the gifts that you have.
Yeah. Well, we work the day before. Whatever we're filming, we were rehearsing that the day before in our own way, in our own time at home.
Right.
And the reason you don't start working on it 4 or 5 days in advance is because there's too great a likelihood that there will be rewrites.
Gotcha.
And now you've got to undo all of the stuff that you had. So usually the rewrites are not going to come in the night before. So you can count on, I'd say, to the tune of 95%, that what you're looking at in the evening time is in fact what you will be filming tomorrow morning. There are some exceptions to that, and they sometimes will hand you a last minute rewrite on set, but they're usually not significant rewrites. 1 or 2 lines that may change, no big deal. I want to say hello to Alan Skidmore. My buddy Alan is watching from West Virginia tonight.
Hey, Alan. Yeah.
Being grateful for what you have and being a servant to others is a core tenet to having a productive and peaceful life. Amen to that, my dear brother. That is so
Amen.
true. So true. So let's go back to your original statement, Ken, and getting what you deserve. That you don't get in life what you want, you get what you deserve. It can be that those two coexist.
Yeah.
So you can both want something and deserve it.
Mm.
But it's wanting all by itself, operating alone, is not very powerful at all. In fact, wanting something tends to be pretty weak vibrationally. But if we do the legwork for it, then we have every reason to expect it. And here's the thing: when you actually expect a result that you've worked for,
Yeah.
you enter the room differently.
Yeah.
Teams that expect to win, they step onto the ball field differently.
Yep.
And coaches that expect to win, they coach differently. And if you look at every decision that is made contains within it winning expectation, not winning hope. It's winning expectation. But it's based on, there's a difference between entitlement and deservedness. And to me, entitlement is deservedness minus the work.
Right.
That's what you like that one, Scott. I think that
I love that one. I love that one.
that entitlement is deservedness minus the work.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that doesn't really hold water in today's world. You're going to have to put in the work, whatever it is.
Being from Indiana, Bob Knight obviously was somebody that had a lot of attention, and I've got my own problems with some of his tactics, but nonetheless, he had a line that was I just thought was brilliant. He was visiting a high school, and the coach was bragging about this potential recruit for Knight, and he said, "This young man has the will to win," and Knight said, "I wouldn't give you a nickel for that. I'm looking for people that have the will to prepare to win."
Mm-hmm.
I've always loved that. Everybody wants to win. I mean, nobody out there is saying that they don't want to win, and we'll even say, "Oh, I have the will to win," but they don't have the will to do the work
that is required to win.
Required to win, the will to prepare to win, and I've found that in my own life so much. I mean, I see that so much is that, and to me, that's what deservedness is, that they believe that winning comes before preparation.
Well, and you expect things to make sense. So, for example, Ken, when you head out toward Utah by car, you're not hoping you'll get to Utah. You're expecting that you will.
Yeah.
As long as the car runs well and you have gas in it and you don't have any kind of major mishaps, no troubles at all,
right,
then getting to Utah, unless there's some unforeseen event that prevents that, then you will get to Utah for one reason only. You have put yourself in the position to get to Utah.
Yep.
And what's interesting is if you turn around and head south, you're not getting to Utah. You're getting to Alabama.
Right.
Or Florida. And if you turn the car 180, you're going to wind up in Virginia, my friend. You're not going to get to Utah. So,
yeah.
Guys, I do a lot of coaching on success. And I got to tell you, most people who dream of success, they're not ready for success. And in life, you will never get to have, you may get to have, I ran over this with Ken earlier today. You may get to have, but you won't ever get to keep what you're not ready to hold on to. You'll never get to keep what isn't yours.
Yeah.
You can have it, but trust me, if you don't possess if you don't have the infrastructure to sustain, and Scott, I know you talk a lot about sustaining things.
Yeah.
A lot on your talk show. I don't know that a show ever goes by without hearing you use the word sustainability.
Thank you.
So if you don't have the infrastructure to sustain it, success can even come visit you in your front yard, and your lack of infrastructure of readiness to receive will find a way to run it off.
Yep.
You'll run success right off your front lawn because you were not ready to receive it. So people need to spend more time if you want to succeed. And I'm saying this to all of our listeners, learning what does success involve, because there's a lot more to it than sitting hoping for it, as though you're going to have to somehow hope your way into the front row of habitability or sustainability. I'm just gonna keep hoping. And if you keep using the recipes that you've been cooking with for the last 25, 30 years, a reasonable expectation is to keep eating the same thing you've been eating for the last 25 or 30 years.
That's right.
So the only way you're going to change what you eat, meaning the outcome, what you're cooking, what you're manifesting, what you're creating in life, the only way you're going to change that is when you change the recipe. And there is no finer way to change outcome than to change input. So you change the recipe, you'll create the outcome. Then you can save yourself years of wasted energy spent on hoping, wishing, and wanting.
You reminded me of what you said, Glenn. One of my great friends is Sage Steele of ESPN. She anchors the 6 o'clock Sports Center on ESPN, and she's one of the highest paid and most recognized personalities in sports broadcasting. But what a lot of people don't know was she didn't go to ESPN the first time they offered her a job there. She turned it down. She said, "I'm not ready. And if I go before I'm ready, I will not have longevity." And
Beautiful.
Now she's been there, 10 years, something like that. And that's what she attributes it to, that so few, the turnover that you see there is people that are so dying to get to ESPN that they go before they're ready, before they get it. But she said that was the choice to say no, that I'm not ready, that people that knew her threw up their hands. And what do you mean? It's a great opportunity. Well, how could you not? How could you say it? That's what really got her to the point that when she got there, she's stuck, and now she's stuck, but I mean, stayed there. It's been sticky. And now she's been the MC of the Miss America pageant. She's been on The View. She's been on, you name it. And she's been on it. And that's what happens when you do exactly what you just said, Glenn. You have to be willing to get to the point that you know that you're ready.
It's just like most self-made millionaires and self-made billionaires have a tendency of keeping their wealth for life, and lottery winners have a tendency of losing everything within a few years and going back to the ring on the toilet. And Glenn, I'll let you talk about that. But because a self-made millionaire has busted their ass for years to get to that point, and they understand the value of every single penny that they bring in. And lottery winners are like, woohoo, look at this. It's like my bag of cinnamon gummies. Like, when it was a full bag, I was like, yeah, we're gonna eat handfuls of these things. Now it's getting down to the bottom. I'm like, I probably shouldn't have eaten handfuls of it in the beginning, because now I got to order more. But like when you work for something and you're constantly honing your skill and you're constantly working to get better, you're not looking for a handout. You're looking for ways to get better and serve the world. You have a tendency of respecting the money that you bring in, the value you receive in return.
And even if a self-made millionaire or billionaire, whatever it is, were to go belly up, or you were to be robbed, right? Somehow there was some computer malfunction or somebody got into the bank or whatever, they were robbed. Here's the reason they'll never stay broke, even if they go broke. It's because you done took their money. You didn't take their recipes.
That's right.
You didn't take their recipes.
That's
and
right.
As long as you've got recipes, my friends, you got weapons. You've got weapons that can be utilized, tools to create whatever fortune you acquire, whatever you dream of. You just got to make sure you got the right recipes, and you got to make sure that you have the right willingness for, here's another big word, gentlemen, is implementation. Because I know a lot of people go to these personal development weekends and they're sis boom ba, rah, 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 go life. And they're so excited about it. But then we move out of that euphoria into the implementation round, which is a necessity in order to experience fruition and manifestations. And turns out they weren't so keen on that implementation aspect. They wanted to roll right out of the high into the havingness. Let me say that one more time. Rolling right out of the high into the havingness.
Yep.
Without doing that middle step, which is the implementation. We have to implement it. Otherwise, you wind up being covered in liver spots and wrinkles and a whole lot of heady knowledge and no wealth.
Yep.
And no future, nothing. But man, you sure got to sit around and feel great about all the smarts you had. And you had every answer to every circumstance, but you never bothered to engage implementation. And implementation is what changes lives. Head knowledge does not change lives.
Amen.
If knowledge was power, college campuses would be the most powerful places on the universe.
What was your full quote that I heard you use on the show about knowledge?
Oh, knowledge is not power. It is the application of knowledge.
Or I use the word implementation. So same idea.
Yeah, exactly.
But people misquote that all the time and they think knowledge is power. It's the beginning. It's the beginning, but knowledge alone is not power, because knowledge minus the application of said knowledge is really pretty foolish.
Yeah.
And it's empty.
And it's interesting too, because most, now not all, but most of these self-made millionaires and billionaires that we were talking about, they don't say they're self-made. They typically give credit to the team.
Yeah.
Fred Smith that founded FedEx. Is there any business touching our life more than FedEx, with the possible exception of Amazon through this? And I mean, that's somebody who is so devoted to talking about all of the great people that he had on his team from day one. And his, if there was one thing that he did, it was hire great people. And, he's always talking about how he built a team. And I think that's so critical too. And it gets back, Glenn, to the point that you made earlier about the importance of humbling yourself. There's some really arrogant people with a lot of money. But there's a great book called The Millionaire Next Door. And what it talks about is what we don't realize is most of the millionaires are married to the same person that they married 35 years ago, that they don't drive the fanciest car, that they don't live in the fanciest house. That's the typical millionaire. But yet because of whatever our perception is, that top 1%, is arrogant and, putting people down and all in it for themselves. There are people like that, but that is not the typical wealthy person.
How true. Hey, Ken, can you throw Mark Rodriguez's comment up there?
Yep.
I just think that's interesting. And that's you guys,
I love that.
That's your world, guys.
He's
our
talking
world,
about the Pro Live Academy, my academy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sign up for it, but don't ever live stream anything. Yeah, exactly. That's great.
Your thoughts on that, Ken?
I mean, it's just like, look, I don't know the percentage exactly, but it's something like 80 or 90% of all books purchased don't get read beyond the first chapter. And it's something ridiculous. And it's like, what? Like, why would you? And maybe, okay, let's say that 50% of those books are horribly written, and you just can't get past the first chapter because it just sucked or something. Okay, throw that one away. But what about all the other ones? The percentages would still be incredibly high if you read the whole book. And what if that author dropped the $10 million nugget in the last 4 paragraphs of the last chapter? And and you stopped after the first 5. And it's like, what do you mean? Oh, that right.
Tell us about it, baby.
In the back.
It's in the back, right. But I'm just saying, like, it's here. I'm just gonna say it. It's freaking laziness. People want everything microwaved. They don't want to put in the work. Not everybody. I'm not talking to everybody, but people don't want to put in the freaking work. They don't want to put. Scott got the Grow Live Academy, and honestly, I go in there and I peek in and because I can see progress, right? Scott blows through the whole freaking thing in like one weekend, and he comes on a Sunday night. He's like, "You've been in my face all day," and I'm like, "What are you talking about?" But because he understands what it takes to be successful, and he may not even agree with everything that I taught in that academy, but he's taken what he needs from it and applying it.
I agree with everything you ever say, Ken.
But I'm just saying, like,
this would probably be a great time for me to keep my mouth shut about that last comment.
Yeah. But I again, it's like I watch you guys can't see the numbers of people coming in and coming out of this show, but here you have 3 pretty well-known successful people that we drop some I'm just going to say it, especially Glenn drops some really big bomb nuggets, and so do you, Scott, but people don't stick around and they don't watch the entire show.
Wait a minute, it gets better, Ken. It's free.
It's free. Yeah, admission is free. So like you got to put in the work. Here, Mark says this right here. Cemeteries will continue to be filled with the dreams, books, and now lives and live streams, I think he means, that were never pursued. It just blows me away. It's pure laziness. It's pure putting Netflix or whatever over learning and becoming better. And I'm not talking about, this isn't about my academy. It's about Scott's book, Iconic. It's about every other book that you've ever purchased. Like, read the damn thing, the whole thing.
Jim Rohn had this great thing that he talked about where he said, there's the guy.
I'm just not wanting to interrupt you, Scott. I was just giving Ken a thumbs up on that one.
Jim Rohn would say that, there's the guy you say, hey, I've got this thing going on. Do you want to do it? And he says, are you kidding me? You get home, you pop a beer, you have dinner, you got to watch a little television, take your mind off your days, and then you got to get back and do it again. I don't have time to read a book. I don't have time to do this. And then Jim Rohn pauses for a minute and he said, and that's the guy who's behind on his bills.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was like,
true that.
It's so true. My thing today, Daily Distinction, was I said it's kind of cliche day, right? We hear it is what it is. I hate that. The question
as
is,
though you have no say so in affecting change.
Oh, I hate that.
What are you going to do about what is? What are you going to make out of what is? How are you going to change what is? How are you going to? And I said, here's the other cliche: when life gives you lemon, make lemonade. And somebody popped in immediately and said, and start a lemonade stand. I love that.
Nice.
Don't just make lemonade, sell lemonade. Do the lemonade stand. Wow, that was so good. But it's so true.
So I've got a thing that I want to share with the audience that I do with a lot of my students in career coaching with regard to being in acting, and then also just in the Extra Mile program that I've taught for 36 years. And I call it making them go Porky Pig. Making the students go Porky Pig. And here's what makes them go Porky Pig. It makes them do an unintentional impression of Porky Pig when they talk to you about what they deserve, right? What they deserve. Let's talk about deservedness today. And, you know, I deserve a career. I've wanted a career for so long. I'm getting older now. I feel like I deserve it. Whenever I hear the word deserve, here's what I say to them. I say 3 words, and I know you guys are going to love this. Here are the 3 words. Based on what? And here's when they go Porky Pig and they go, they don't know what to do. And all I've done is call them is based on what? Tell me right now. And I got to tell you, if they can't answer immediately, they are destined to succeed.
Yeah.
When I tell someone based on what, all I've got to do is watch my watch. And if it is an immediate response, they are poised for greatness. But if the question based on what stumps them and they have to stop and go through, well, let's see, why have I decided that? Well, because I just want it, by God. And you're going, newsflash, not enough. There's more work to be done there than simply wanting it. So it is funny that when you ask someone based on what, I want to tell all of you, you better formulate a game plan. And it's really not between you and a potential auditor, but frankly, it's between you and you.
Yep.
So between you and you, do you even know why? Are you crystal clear on why you've been parading around declaring deservedness? Based on what? What are you doing that has you feeling so puffed up with your chest feathers marching around the barnyard? Why do you think you deserve it? If you can answer that, you're a front runner to win.
You see Brad on here talking about the stink birds.
Well, they probably became the stink birds at the moment of interception at the very end of the game.
Yeah, right. I think again, I think that like me personally, I don't ever want to. I have confidence, but I never want to be of the mindset that, well, because I deserve this. Like, I'm going to bust my ass and earn it. And if I get it, I get it. If I don't get it, then I'm going to keep busting my ass to earn the next one. I don't understand. I can't relate to this mindset of I deserve it.
Right.
It doesn't equate. I don't get it.
So does it make sense to you guys what I said is when you say based on what? So here's the deal. If they don't answer quickly, I go, aha. So we're not actually talking about deservedness at all because you can't even tell me why it is you deserve it. Therefore, you don't deserve it. You feel entitled to it.
Yes.
Which is deservedness minus the work, as I said before. Yeah. So it turns out you don't feel deserved. You don't feel deserving of it. You actually feel entitled. And all I can say is this to your entitlement, right?
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of entitlement. Not a big fan.
You know, I think I told this story once. I had this kid come in. I didn't go to college, so I don't know how the internship thing works. But so before he came in for an internship interview, I asked my wife, who did go to college, how does this work? Do we pay them? She's like, God, when I went to college, we were begging for internships and we didn't get paid nothing. It was zero. And I'm like, cool, let's get some people in here then. And so this kid sits down and I'm like, so we're talking unpaid internship. And he's like, oh no, it's the school's rules. I have to be paid. And I go, oh, like minimum wage. And he goes, I was thinking more like 20. And I go, 20 what? And he 1,000? And he goes, no, $20 an hour. And he had to have this internship to graduate. Like, this is between his junior and senior year. He had to have this working for a marketing firm to graduate. I'm like, dude, are you asking me for $20 an hour? There are people that work in my office that have been here 3 years that don't make that. Like, you know, and you're coming in as an intern to learn from me, and you want me to pay you $20 an hour? Get out of my office. And he goes, I didn't mean to offend you. I made $16 an hour at my last internship last year, and I just felt like I deserved more. I said, dude, I'm telling you, you need to leave right now. It would be in your best interest. Get up and get out of my office now. I was like, that to me is what is wrong with our society. It just and hey,
That's
I
good,
could,
Ken.
huh?
I just said that's good. That's really good, man. I think another question we've got to ask ourselves is, am I fair? Fair is one of my favorite words. Am I fair? In other words, am I fair in my treatment of others? Am I fair in my expectations? Is that a fair assessment of what's really going on? So when my actors do scenes in the workshop, I ask them to play it back and ask themselves this question. If your money were on the line, would you hire you? I mean, realistically, I'm not talking about would you want to be the job. I understand you want the job. I know that. But if it were your money on the line, you just looked at your own work in that scene. Forget that it's you. Learn to look at it objectively. See it as an actor. Don't see it as me. Don't think of it as me, yourself. Just look at that actor up there. Would you hire you? And then if someone else does the exact same scene and kicks its ever-loving ass, I think it's fair to look and go, the reality is they did a better job with the material than I did. They were much more compelling than I was. They were much more passionate. They made eye contact in the key moments. They went into the town of what I call Reflectionville when they were considering feelings, and we could see the wheels of their mind turning. And then they looked back to connect with us on what it was they were experiencing and what it was they wanted to say. They had beats that you didn't have. They had connections that you didn't have. They had passion that you didn't have. They had depth that you didn't have. Do you still think the role should go to you? Because that's not fair. If you're being fair, then you'll go, you know what? They deserve this one. And there's a second part to this equation, which is, and I believe I've got some work to do.
Mm-hmm.
That's part of being fair.
Yep.
It's being fair in your assessments of what you think you deserve, what is coming your way. Because I don't think you deserve things right and left when other people are doing a much better job with the exact same material. So this is something we do in the workshop, is they're working sometimes with the exact same script, and it doesn't even look like the same script. Some of the scenes you look and you go, oh, okay. I mean, all right, let's talk about it. Let's see what we can find. And then two other actors will say, take the exact same set of words. Nobody takes a creative license to change the words. And now the scene, so help me God, guys, the scene blows us away. Not just me. Everyone watching goes, wow. And we're going, yeah, well, you just saw the same scene. No, we didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Because what you're seeing is not the scene. Listen very closely. You're seeing a unique and much better treatment of the scene.
Yes.
So it comes down to your treatment of moments, your treatment of life, your treatment of your own precious and unrepeatable divine energy, your treatment of, this one's a big one for you, Scott. Again, another thing you talk about all the time, customer, your treatment of the customer. Because if you're not fair with your customer, you can't expect them to be a repeat customer. Fair is huge. In fact, beyond fair.
Yeah.
Beyond fair. Why do you go back and buy a second car from that dealership? Because the last time I walked in there, they treated me like a king, and man, were they ever fair. I would even say beyond fair. I felt very valued. So no, I'm not going to go looking for a car somewhere else. Thank you very much. Mm-hmm. And now you're buying every car for the rest of your life from that company. I mean, am I pushing this too far, or?
I think you're nailing it. I think you're spot on.
Donna says whoever has the most certainty wins. And I do say I agree with that. But I would like to add on to that. I'd like to say, where does certainty come from?
I bet you she'll tell you if you ask her, because she is a very bright and outspoken person.
I have it up here on my screen. It's a firm conviction that something is the case. So, like, if what increases that though in us, and this is where this is what I'm kind of hammering, is what increases that. If I said, hey Scott, hey Glenn, here's the deal, man. Scott and I have decided to have a speak off, and we're both going to get on stage, and the audience is going to decide who the best speaker is between Scott and I.
Okay.
And man, I have a lot of certainty. I think I'm going to win. but right. So there's idiot certainty. And then I have a lot more experience than you can, you idiot certainty. And that would be Scott saying that to me. Like there would be I wouldn't stand a chance, because he just has a whole lot more experience in that. And it would be the same as in an acting role against you. I wouldn't, and Scott wouldn't stand a chance. So that certainty increases once we make the decision that we are going to be the freaking best. It's the same. Scott's told the story with Apple and all of the other companies that we can look at. You've got to be sure that you're going to be the best and do everything you can to be that.
So I'm going to offer you a slightly varied opinion about that.
You think I beat Scott? I get it.
Well, as a matter of fact, I was headed in that direction. I'm not joking. Would you like to not laugh at it for a minute and hear me for real?
I'm listening.
Because I think you have a pre-decided outcome about this, and that's the issue. The issue is your already made up mind.
Yeah.
This is a term in metaphysics, the danger of the already made up mind, or the plus side of the already made up mind. That's a good one to write down, gents. I don't know if you spend any time using that verbiage, but the already made up mind will be the deciding factor. The already made up mind, because what you're going to do is clearly you're going to unify your energies behind the already made up mind.
Yep.
Right. And the already made up mind has to be based on something. It can't be just a mind that's just decided, well, so I want to take Scott out of it, because I happen to think Scott is a very, very dynamic speaker. And the reason I want to remove him, Scott, this is important that I remove you from the equation, is because then it could be personal. So let's say that it's between you and a Scott, not the Scott, not our Scott McCain, but someone of Scott's level of proficiency. Okay? Are you with me on this? So now it's not Scott anymore, and that way Scott doesn't need to feel that this is even a discussion about him, because it's not, Ken. It's a discussion about you.
Right.
And where I think you may be underestimating yourself is there are other speakers in the world who do speaking by the numbers. And I'm not talking about Scott. I'm talking about someone who is proficient. Right. They can paint by the numbers. They can speak by the numbers, and their formulas can be just like they're coming out of a friggin' Gatling gun. They are just spot on. But you've got one thing that they don't have, called heart. And if you take the stage with enough heart and enough truth, I will take heart over technique all day long. That does not compare you with Scott. That compares you with a speaker who is more experienced than you, more polished than you, but they're up there on the stage leaning heavily upon being smooth.
Right.
You're up there bearing your soul, which you happen to be excellent at. And if you got rid of the already made up mind about it, that Scott is going to produce a more favorable outcome, or that Glenn Morshower is going to produce a more favorable outcome. And look at what Lisa says, heart and passion can overcome. I really agree with that. And I think you wind up becoming the story of the little train that could.
Yeah.
Right. And you wind up being, isn't that kind of what the story of Hoosiers was, Scott? Is this a team that just came out of nowhere?
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't seen it in a long time.
Yeah. I mean, as it was portrayed in the movie, they were unexpected. Yeah.
I mean, the New York Jets weren't supposed to win that game.
Not,
Were they?
no,
Back in the Super Bowl?
no, they were one of the biggest underdogs in history.
And yet, Joe Namath didn't possess the already made up mind with regard to losing.
Yeah.
He had an already made up mind with regard to winning. So there's something very powerful about the already made up mind. So I would beg the audience to take a look at, what is your mind so already made up about?
Right.
What have you already decided is so? Because that's the rudder that is governing the trajectory of your life. I'll guarantee you, what you've decided is so is what's running your life. That's powerful.
I totally agree.
Scott, are you going to get us to that time we always take a break in our show?
I do want to say something about that, though. Yes, absolutely. But let me please let me piggyback on that. I do think, however, that one of the challenges that we face today is people with certainty and passion are. How many times do we see on social media that people are absolutely positive about something that's easily proven wrong?
Mm-hmm.
Certainty, as has been said before, you're certainly entitled to your opinion, but you're not entitled to your own set of facts.
True.
And so therefore, there are varying degrees of certainty. I am certain that 2 + 2 is 4, but in terms of other things, it would be silly of me to bring that degree of certainty to it. I think we all need to be more humble learners in this process. However, I also think that one of the most overrated things is passion. And I'll tell you why I say that. There's so much out there in the publications, in the business world and in the speaking world and everything else about, your passion will make you great. No, it won't. I know people that are passionately incompetent.
Or passionately unemployed.
It is your skill, not bringing passion to developing your skill will make you successful.
Yep.
It gets back to what we were talking about earlier. But I have worked with speakers and I have heard speakers who will say, I am so passionate when I get on the platform. Yeah, but you don't have anything to say. I mean, you're passionately inane. So for those folks that think that passion will make them successful, passion is one of the elements that you need to make you successful. Yes. But passion alone exclusively is not enough to get you to where you want to be.
Yeah, I mean, I hope you recognize our same pageness in this matter, yes. And that this is not being delivered as a correction, because I couldn't agree with you more.
No, I totally get that.
I think passion in and of itself is fairly empty.
Yeah, it is. It is. I totally agree. I see so much of that. You're talking about in the speaking world, and I just see so much of that in the speaking world of people that want to be motivational speakers who haven't accomplished anything. Mm-hmm. Or they want to tell you how to be motivated, tell you how to accomplish, but they haven't achieved anything for themselves. And there is a correlation that I'm seeing out there between passion and lack of discipline. As if the passion will make up for not doing your reps. And it's, if I want more strength in my muscles, I'd better be doing the reps in the gym. If I want more strength in my whatever it is, I'd better be doing the reps. And I see folks that aren't doing the reps. And that reminds me, it's 6:15, which is the time that every week
we do the reps.
Mic drop. Glenn, mic drop.
We do the reps.
It's time for, ooh, that's just wrong. Who wants to go first? I got one. If nobody else wants to
do it.
Okay, so I'm doing a webinar on Tuesday that's free, and then I'm doing a paid thing in October. It's and thank both of you guys are going to be a part of it, and I'm so grateful for that. The Distinction Summit, and we're going to do a 3-day program on how to create distinction and separate yourself from the pack. And so, how do you promote something like that? You buy ads. Gee, just like anything else. So I buy Facebook ads. I got a message today that the F word was in the message 6 times, I think, telling me how could I possibly get in their Facebook stream and how could I do, and it's an ad. Are you sending that same message to the television station when they put a commercial on during a football game? It's an ad. It says under my name, sponsored. You know, and the guy's like, quit spamming me. I don't want to see you in my Facebook stream. How'd you get it? Drives me crazy that it says sponsored on it. Seriously, call the TV station and when they run a commercial. Call the newspaper and complain because there's an ad there. It's the same thing. That's just wrong.
That's good. Do you have one, Ken?
I do. I do.
Bring it.
Charles says I won't make that mistake again.
Way to go. Way to go, Charles. Way to go.
Haters gotta hate. That's right.
I have I'm torn between 2 of them, but I'll go
Well,
with
who was it that was torn between 2 lovers, Scott?
Feeling like a fool, loving you, breaking all the rules.
Olivia Newton-John.
No. I'm reciting the lyrics and I can't think of who did the song off the top of my head.
Torn between 2 lovers,
Feeling
feeling like a fool. Nothing.
Loving
Nothing.
you is breaking all the rules.
Yes.
Jennifer Warnes.
Did you look it up?
No, that's what Charles is saying. I'm
No,
looking at the
she did
comments.
Right Time of the Night and Morning After.
So mine was
Share both of them, Ken.
huh?
Share both.
Well,
Mary McGregor is the answer to that.
Okay.
Who?
Mary McGregor. It was written by Peter Yarrow. Anybody know who Peter Yarrow is?
Okay.
No. So
Before we wrap tonight, let's play like a couple of lines between, because that one can't be protected by any.
it is. I'm not doing it.
Oh,
But-
okay. Never mind.
Flagged, and I have to go do all this work to unflag it. It's crazy.
Okay. Never
Peter-
mind.
Peter Yarrow had a couple of partners named Paul and Mary.
Oh, interesting. Peter,
Oh.
Paul, and Mary. So what are your 2, Bubba?
Well, one is it happened Friday. I was on air with Glenn, and we were trying to get our eye lines right, and he said, "Lean in a little close." No, not like that. No. Now it just looks like we're getting ready to engage in a warm kiss. I said,
To which he responded, "Ooh,
"Ooh, that's just wrong."
I'm with you.
And then I went, "What?" So, and then the other one, real quick. I did a live stream. A while. When was it? A week. Did I bring this up last week? Stop.
try to keep better track of these things, Ken, if you would."
Right.
Okay.
So
I'm just saying.
I forget. I don't know if I brought this up last week, but I had a hater on, and Scott's story reminded me of it. I had a hater show up, like he was on my live stream. I don't know this guy, wasn't friends with him. He just happened to be there. And I said it was about like overcoming, the excuses and taking action and blah, blah, blah. And this guy said, well, when I got to get some things in order first in my life before I can start doing lives and taking action and da, 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 da. And I'm like, hey, dude, I get it, man. It's not a judgment. I've been there. I've lived my life on excuses too. And
Ouch.
and he did not like that. And he went to every social media platform I think that exists and talked about how I needed to get humility, and I have no idea what kind of health issues he's having. And I'm like, dude, I did not mean to strike a nerve, but like I wasn't saying like I was just saying, hey, I've made excuses in my life. I didn't say anything about you. It was me I was talking about. I've lived on excuses, and I thought, well, Oh, that's just right. I finally got a hater.
And you're like, I'll take things that weren't personal being taken personally for 500, please, Alex.
I was like, all right, I got a hater out there giving me some spreading my name around. Thanks, dude. I went to every post and I just clicked the love button. I loved everyone.
Hey, I don't know if you saw this, but Ken, Robert asked you if I closed my eyes when we were readying ourselves for that passionate kiss.
No, we weren't. Is the thing. We weren't.
No, but Robert or Scott Ricard, I guess, wanted to know that.
No.
And then there was another comment up here about, oh yeah, Lisa says he puckered up like Nemo.
Nice.
Lisa Patrick came up with that one.
Nice.
So
Lisa.
here's my just wrong. We unfortunately about 4 weeks ago had our favorite of our feral cats that were born here on our property. These 3 little beautiful kitties that were born 6 months ago, and they've been growing up in our backyard. We've really begun with the domestication process, and we got them vaccinated. We had them spayed and neutered and everything, and we're getting ready to move them in. And it appears that a coyote got our buddy, our favorite one of the 3. And so we immediately decided it was time because we didn't want the other ones to meet the same fate. So we brought them in. And these are feral cats that have spent, 6 months outside. And there was only about 2 days worth of hissing between our other 5 cats and them. So we're now up to 7. But we had 8, but 3 were outdoors. So now with 7 cats, I realized roughly, I'd say 5 minutes into the show, that one of our ferals had chosen to express her appreciation by urinating all over the shirt that I'm wearing right now. And I think that we all know how fond I am of urine. We've established that in other weeks. But to sit here and do an entire show, they say the show must go on.
Oh my God.
But to persevere for 90 minutes in a cat urine soaked t-shirt, I think qualifies as, ooh, that's just
oh my God.
We will not, or at least I will not be going over tonight. Because frankly, I need to get the hell out of Dodge.
Oh, jeez.
My God.
What is it with you and urine, dude?
I don't know, man. Someone told me last week, they said you're in the zone. So I don't know. That might have been it. But no, I'm really, really getting a good whiff of my cat's appreciation for having been protected. Let me show Daddy how much I love him by peeing all over his shirt.
Oh my gosh.
Oh man. See, it's a theme.
And now Lisa has Peter Pants.
See?
All urine all the time. Welcome to the
it's catchy, I tell you, it's catchy.
Yeah.
Hello, Susan Laurel Rose. Hello, Sam and Charles and Joan and Ernest, Lisa. I feel like what was it? The show we watched when we were little kids, and they looked through the magic mirror, Romper Room, and they looked through the magic mirror at the end. Did you grow up with that?
We didn't have Romper Room in our market.
Really? And they would say, and I see Tina and Bobby and Johnny and Betty. And she always just named a bunch of names so that these kids foolishly could sit at home and go, she sees me, she sees me. And it's like, it's a numbers game, you idiot.
It's a numbers game.
Now, in Louisville, because I grew up 30 miles from Louisville. So in Louisville, they had a TV show called T-Bar V. It was the T-Bar V Ranch. And Randy Atcher was like a cowboy character. And Cactus Tom Brooks was like a clown that was like the chuck wagon cook. So the thing was like in a chuck wagon, and so they would show cartoons and they would do all this. Cactus was Cactus Tom Brooks.
Yes.
Whose brother's name was Foster Brooks. Remember Foster?
Oh, wow. Sure, the greatest drunk in the history of show business.
Oh, yeah, he was great. So his brother is the guy that was the other host of the show, and they would sing a song every show, and it was brush your teeth each morning, get lots of sleep at night, mind your mom and daddies because they know what is right, get lots of exercise each day and eat up all your food, and always wear a great big smile. It makes you look so good. Be sure to look both left and right before you cross the street, and be with us tomorrow at 9 when it's T-Bar V Ranch time.
Oh, nice. And you held on to all of that?
Oh, but kids would go to the show on their birthday. And so I would write a letter every year and give it to my mom, like between the ages of, 4 and 8, could you, I want to be on T-Bar V to for my birthday. And mom finally confessed, like when I, turned 40, that, yeah, I've still got those letters at home because I was so afraid of what you would say.
Oh my God.
I never got on television. I was so afraid of what you would say that I never mailed the letters to T-Bar V. And my whole life, I thought I just never made the cut.
Hey, Ken, since go ahead, buddy.
I have a question for Scott.
Okay.
So I'm curious because my immediate thought was, wow, your life could have taken a completely different trajectory had you gotten on TV back then. Like you may have been like, TV is for me. I'm doing this. I like this. But then I thought, well, wait a minute. You were in a movie. You were in the movie. What's the movie called again?
Stroszek. 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 But I did end up later working for that television station.
Well, but why did you decide not? I mean, because we watched it one night on here. It was good. You were good. What made you decide not to pursue a full career in acting like Glenn did?
I always wanted to be a speaker. The people that inspired me were speakers. And honestly, I knew I could do speaking. I didn't know that I could do acting. And I mean, everybody was so nice in how it got reacted to and all that. But the discipline of it was a different discipline than what I had prepared myself for.
Got it.
But it is. There's very few things I look back on my life on and think, oh, I wish I would have. But that is the one that, I never stayed in television or radio. I never stayed in acting, and I certainly can't be disappointed with how speaking has worked out for me. But it is the one thing I always wonder, if I would have gotten another opportunity to act, what would have happened, or if I would have gotten a big opportunity in television, what would have happened. But in that life, I mean, it's
sure.
the decisions that are made at a period of time. My mom always joked, because when I was 5 years old, I would stand on the picnic table and give a speech. But the other thing I would do is remember the old percolators, the coffee
Sure.
So the end of it that plugged in the percolator looked like a microphone. And I would go around and interview people, and I love being, an interviewer. So that I do miss that. That's part of what I love about doing this with you guys so much, is that, I miss television. I miss that. I always wish that I could have been like a Phil Donahue or a newscaster. But
I have already shared this with you guys, but every Friday night at 8:00, without fail, growing up, I would open my bedroom window and pull up, my brother actually would pull up the shade at 8:00 sharp, and the show began, and I performed for 30 minutes for nobody.
Wow.
And it was the window that looked out the side of our house. I don't know if the neighbors ever bothered to look over and wonder why this kid was standing in front of the window, but I did that for a long time.
Wow.
And I was getting used to that template of the curtain has opened and the show begins. And all these years later, that now makes sense.
Yeah.
Because it was occurring for a reason. It wasn't just a silly thing to do. Those were some of the earliest beams laid down upon the ground to form the structure that I now live in. Called my career. Those were some of the earliest beams. Before we say goodnight, gentlemen, Scott, I know you want to give dates and plug your event again, so please do that. And then I've got something that I need to plug because it's coming up this week.
Very cool. I'm doing a free webinar on Tuesday at 11:30 Eastern, 8:30 Pacific AM. And if you follow me on any of the social media, there's a link there to go to that free. Also, go to distinctionsummit.com. Distinctionsummit.com. You get all the information. We haven't announced every speaker like Ken, but we will be announcing more speakers like Ken this coming week. Lynn is going to be a part of it, and my friend Sage Steele at ESPN. We've got a whole bunch of other folks that are going to be a part of it. But it's saying basically that whatever you do, you know what to do, but you may not have learned how to make what you do stand out. And that's what the distinction is.
And that's the one that's 16, 17, and 18?
Yes, correct. October
Right.
16, 17, 18.
Right. Carolyn's birthday is on the 18th. Just be aware of that. So that's not a great evening time for me, but you'll probably be closing fairly early that day if that's the last day.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So you'll let me know when you would like me. I won't be here. I will be in Atlanta. But I also I want to share this with you guys. I guess I can do a screen share. Is that right, Ken?
Yep.
Okay. Can you guys see this?
As soon as you share it, I'll be able to throw it up on screen.
Okay. Well, there is no audio to share, so I don't need to do that. So it would be this.
Yep. There it is. Click on the tab that you want.
Yeah, well, it's that I don't know how to describe it because now I can't look at it. It's the one that just says my name is with Susan Burkhead. Do you see that one?
Yeah, click on the graphic now. Click on that. Nope. Just click on the picture. It'll open up. Nope.
Oh my gosh, that got weird.
Wow.
That got
That's
really
trippy.
weird.
I'm really glad I don't do drugs. That would have just taken me to the mat. I mean, whoa.
What did you do?
I don't
Click
even
exit,
know,
exit.
man.
Click exit full screen down at the bottom right.
Was that trippy or what?
Eric,
I was obvious. I was like,
Eric said I'm on acid.
Okay, share screen.
Oh God, that's funny. Just click share tab.
Is that it? Now do you see it?
I don't see anything yet.
I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. Share tab. Share like that?
When you click share screen, up at the top right hand side, it says Chrome tab, and then click on Facebook.
No, it doesn't on mine. It doesn't say anything. Tell you what, let's do this differently. You do the share screen and you go to my page and it'll be right on my page.
Okay.
Because I'm not having any luck doing what you're saying. I don't see any share tab or anything.
Got it.
It'll be like the second listing on my page.
Yep.
And then we can give out the website. Because this is an interesting seminar that's coming up this Thursday that could prove to be really helpful or certainly insightful for many of you. And I haven't told anyone about it yet. But it is they're featuring 5 character actors this coming Thursday.
Okay.
And it's sponsored by the Screen Actors Guild.
wow.
But I think it's open to all people. So let's look at it.
There it is.
So
Want to know the true secret to becoming a successful actor? Then join us Thursday evening, October 1st from 7 to 9 p.m. Central Standard Time for a special Facebook Live with some of our beloved character actors. You know them from your favorite films, television shows, and commercials. Well, now is your chance to get to hear from Lance Nichols, Glenn Morshower, Marianne, Barry Pearl,
I'm sure she'd be touched, Ken.
I'm sorry. What's her last name? Hey, you guys are welcome to take a shot.
Mueller Liley?
Thank you.
think that's probably likely Mueller Liley or Mueller Liley.
Liley, yeah.
Iqbal Thieba for a conversation about success, faith, and service as an actor, moderated by, my goodness, what can we just by Michael
McCausland, who's my friend, that is the president of the Screen Actors Guild.
There's a completely new way. I've never seen Michael spelled that way. That's pretty.
Well, now you have. So
Q&A.
can you highlight the website and put it up so that people can see it?
Yep, I sure can.
And then they can thank you for doing that.
They won't be able to click on it though.
No, but I'm saying they can write it down, right? And they'll have it. Or those of you that are my friends, you can go to me on Facebook and grab the link that way.
Oh,
but it is on Thursday evening.
Oops, I put it in there. Did not really, well, it worked. So there's the link, and I'll paste it in this way too, and then I will pin the link to, I'm doing this from my phone for all of you that are in the Grow Live Academy and want to know how I just did that. I have a Mac, and Macs are like, I can copy a link on my Mac and then paste it on my iPhone or on my iPad, but I cannot get this thing to pin. So there's that.
Sorry for the inconvenience.
No inconvenience.
I just want us to make sure that we have our program as a bit of a billboard for work we're doing outside of the show that people can participate in.
Yep.
So that's going on this Thursday evening.
Sweet.
Cool.
Awesome.
Gentlemen, it's been fun. I'm going to go get my urine-soaked T-shirt off of my body and then take a shower, and be sure to stop by and thank my cat.
Yes. Sounds like a plan.
Scott, have a good week. Keno, have a great week.
Take us out. Love you too, bro.
That concludes another edition of the Ken and Glenn Show with a guy named Scott. Tune in next week to hear about Glenn's next urine problem. We'll see you for...
When I find gold, I'm the only guy that when I find gold shouts, urethra!
Oh, my God.
Give it to me, Scott.
I got nowhere to go with that. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Hey,
good night, everybody.